It's so good to be here with you. I have my dear friend,
Hmm.
Leticia here. We're going to talk a little bit about the Sophia Code. She's recently came across the Sophia Code and has shared so many insights with me about her journey since she started to read the Sophia Code that I'm just so excited to bring her on so she can give us a little bit of what about what she's learned, how it's improved her life, and just give you some tips on how it can also just help you start a journey if you're interested in deepening your connection to the divine, deepening your connection to yourself, to your higher self, and to really let go of anything that's standing in the way of you being your most authentic, beautiful self that you came here to be.
Hmm.
And so here we are, Leticia. How's it been since you started your journey with the Sophia Code?
It's been beautiful. It's a great question. I guess there's so many different things of how it's been. It's been just enlightening. It's been a beautiful journey. I've learned so much about the Ascendant Masters, some of which I've known of and heard of, and some that I've never heard of before. We were talking offline about Hathor and how you've never heard of Hathor. I never heard of Hathor. The other one for me was White Buffalo Woman. I never heard of White Buffalo Woman. And of course, the Sophia Dragons, I never heard of that. And just this idea of even looking at God or Christ or all that in a different light. We've
Mm.
heard so much about the word God, which is
Mm-hmm.
fine. It's a beautiful word. It's definitely a word to use. And then looking at it from the sense of like Sophia,
Mm-hmm.
and embodying that feminine aspect of
Mm-hmm.
divine, of God, of spirit, universe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been very enlightening as I have, gone through the journey with the Sophia Code.
Amazing. And you also were telling me a little bit about how it's helped you in your personal journey. Can you tell us what you do for a living and how the reading the Sophia Code has helped you in your own journey
Yeah,
with
so as a
you?
meditation teacher and a mindfulness mentor, it's helped me to just, during my prayers, I now bring in the ascendant masters
Mm.
and welcome them in. I already know I have my like spirit family, my spirit
Mm.
tribe, but it's really helped me to remind myself that I'm not alone on this journey. That
Mm.
I have a big spirit family,
Mm.
and now just reading the Sophia Code, I'm like, oh, the spirit family is even bigger than
Mhm.
I can imagine. It's probably still even bigger than I can imagine.
Mhm.
But going through just life, knowing that I'm being divinely guided and supported by these amazing ascendant masters who focus on different things, and that's
Mhm.
just like all of us, right? That's a
Mhm.
reminder of we're very similar in what we do, but your focus is so different. My focus is so different, but our main purpose
Mhm.
is in alignment, right? To
Mhm.
share our gifts with the world, to help others on their path, make it easier for them than it was maybe for us.
Mhm.
And that's what they have taught me as well. And
Mm.
they have gone through even, more things in life that I don't think any of us would ever want to go through or could have ever imagined going through. And yet, if they can get through it and past it, it's like, oh, we can all get through it and pass it.
Mm.
And
I
so
love
that's what
that.
I've learned
That's
and
awesome.
how I put it into my own practice and in my own teachings as well.
Mhm. That sounds so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that
Yeah.
with us, and I love hearing that about your personal practice. And I'm just so curious and can't stop thinking about this. I don't think I've asked you this, but how did you come in contact with the Sophia Code? Like, because we've known each other, and ever since I've known you, you already had to come across the Sophia
Yep.
Code,
Yeah, I
and
remember
that's
our coffee date when we
yes,
first like connected,
yes,
and somehow the book came up and I was like, "Oh, I'm reading that right now." And you're
yes,
like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
yes.
And so I didn't know that there was the Sophia Journeys. I didn't even really look into the author. I just kind of got
Mm.
the book and was like, "All right." So thinking back, I was somewhere. It was a friend. I think I was in like a women's group or something,
Mm.
networking group event, and she had just, I don't know what triggered her to mention it, but she mentioned this book and another book for women, like something with wolf in it, or wolf, like
Mm.
the woman.
Women who run with wolves.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So I haven't gotten that one yet. And they mentioned, and she said the Sophia Code, and I was like, what? And so I don't know. It was just like this little voice from this
Wow.
person who said it, and
Wow.
she mentioned these books. And so whatever reason, this book was the one that I was like, let me look deeper. And I really, yeah, I mean, I looked at what it was about, but I really didn't understand, fully. But I was like, okay, let me get it
Mm.
and let me dive in. And I think at the time I was just looking for a book that, because I like reading at night,
Mm-hmm.
and I was looking for one that wasn't so informational. Something I
Mm-hmm.
could just read lightly, even though it's not as light as one would think, but it's still a nice read at night to just like receive and hear the stories of the Ascendant Masters, get those key codes, especially at night. I like get them, even more downloaded.
The initiations.
Yes, the initiations. Thank you. And so, yeah, I mean, it just, I guess to wrap up that question, it really was just like I heard it and kind of just went with it.
I love that.
And I think that's what makes it beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Like I had no idea what it was about, what I was, really getting into, and I just heard it and I just took action and got the book and went down the journey.
Tell me a little bit more about what you said you were searching for. So you were searching a nice read, and was it in specific about the feminine, or was it just...
I definitely think it
Yes.
was, because I think, I was on my feminine awakening journey, and I, she had mentioned the books, and I was like, oh, I want to tap more into that. And that's definitely what I was looking for. And I just read at night in general. But yeah, I just was like, yeah, I'm looking for, that's exactly what I was looking for. Just more of, connection with my feminine.
And how was it for you when you first opened the book? And how did you remember what that was like?
To be honest, I didn't know what to expect. I think originally I just wanted to hear stories and yeah, like hear stories. And I really didn't know what I was kind of journeying into. And I don't know. I don't know if I remember what I felt, but I just knew I'm on a ride. Like I just knew I'm like, okay, I'm going on some ride that is going to be like, I don't know what to expect, and in each level of the ride was just different, meeting and with each Ascendant Master, one was different from the other. And, it was just, I always like felt like curious as I'm reading each one, because I've heard maybe, like I said, about some of them and nothing of any, some of the others. And so just going, oh wow, like this is so interesting. Yeah. Of like their lives and what they experienced and what they're offering, like yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And the reason why I was asking you these questions is because it's very similar to what I went through and what I experienced too. I heard someone speak about several books, not just this book, and out of those 3 or 4 options that they gave, this was the one that I also heard, ordered it. And I remember reading the first pages and just thinking to myself, like, wow, this book is just answering the questions that I had since I was a child. And it just like, I got hooked. And I wanted to know more about the author. And I wanted to know more about where I could learn more and get deeper into it. And then I found out that there was a mystery school. I found out about Kaira. At the time, it was the pandemic, and we were going into lockdown. And so Kaira at the time was doing a YouTube free offering every day to talk about the good news of the Sophia Code and why we are awakening, how it is that we're awakening, and how important these teachings are in this moment. And it was very similar to you too, that you were seeking that feminine connection.
Yeah.
I was also on that journey of awakening to my femininity and embracing it. And I knew that in this life I had not had good role models of what that looked like. And I
Yeah.
was very disconnected to my womb space, to my sexuality, to just like many different aspects of me that didn't get to know. I wasn't, and I didn't know myself as well as I know myself now. And so it was like an awakening journey going through reading the Sophia Code, and then being enrolled in the mystery school, and then going on a deeper journey once I was in the mystery school, becoming a Sophia Circle facilitator. It's like really going into a university level type, because the teachings are intense. You're really in a mystery school like in ancient times, but it's like she calls it a Kyra calls it modern mystery school, because it's like our everyday. We're living these teachings day to day, because in ancient times apparently they used to just go off and study away from their family and away from everything, and it's not the way we do things in the modern world. So it's really learning to be with everything that we go through, and still show up to what it is that we're here to do, our mission in life, like you were sharing, like you're here doing what you love, teaching about meditation and mindfulness, and then you're using the teachings of the Sophia Code to help you in balance that out, and show up, and can I say this? Maybe your most authentic self is
of course
true, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the only way to show up, right? Is our most authentic self. And the Sophia Code, the Ascended Masters, I think definitely help me to show up even more authentic. Again, their stories are so raw, they're so intense, the things, and if they can show up and still get past that, like, why can't we? Just to your point, right? We live in this modern world that's so different than when these Ascended Masters lived. And in some ways we have it so much easier. In some ways, not in all ways, there's still so many things that are not right with this world. But I definitely think we live in a time where it's completely different. And but authenticity is 100% the way to be. I mean, that's why I do the work I do, so that I can tap in more to my authenticity and help others do that as well.
That's so beautiful. And how has it been for you mentoring with them? Like, we use the word mentor too in the mystery school, because we are really learning from them as if they were for those of you who might not be familiar with ascended masters, they're just basically angels that live in a higher realm. So that's all that ascended masters mean. Like, we're not praying to them. We're not put them on a pedestal and like bow down to them. Like, we're not doing that. We are mentoring with them as if they were teachers to us, and that's the intention, because the intention really is to help us step into our sovereignty. So we're not worshiping them, we're just learning from them and their codes of divinity, because we all have those codes of the divinity. And the word Sophia simply is another name for source, for God, for creation. And so we are equals. That's why, like, I didn't understand before, and I don't know if this is resonating with you, because before I had this twisted idea about what ascended masters were, and I just could not pray to anyone else that wasn't God itself. And I thought that if I looked up to Jesus, I was doing something wrong, because Jesus is the Son of God and it's not God himself. And, all these twisted beliefs that I had. And this book just cleared it all out. And it was like, okay, like,
Mm.
let's just start over. Source is this energy that created it all, universe, God, so unity consciousness, Christ consciousness. And then there's like all of the beings that arise from this
Mm.
consciousness.
Yeah.
And we are amongst those beings, including the ascended masters, that have incarnated out of source. So we are on the same ascended master journey that these masters were on
Mm.
in real life, like right here, right now. And so they really see us as equals.
Mm.
We are equal to them. We are not lower, or,
Yeah.
they're not higher. Like, we're all sovereign beings, daughters and sons of God, of source creation. And so I just wanted to explain that, because I don't often have this opportunity to share
Mm.
what that really means,
Yeah. Thank you
because
for
I
that.
never really understood it until I read the Sophia Code.
Yeah.
And so I really want everyone to hear the great news, because I was very confused for the longest time. And I even had considered myself that I was an atheist, because I was just
Mm.
so confused about everything.
Yeah.
But of course, I always felt like in my heart that there was this energy, right, of just that creates it all, and that works so synergistic with everything, just like nature is. So it's like always believing in something, but not really sure what to believe in, because all the religions that I went through, they just confuse me so much. And the most authentic path that I could find, I don't know if you resonate with this, was the path of being a yogi.
Mm.
And that just felt so true in my heart, because it was like, I just want to live a yogic lifestyle, which that means do right unto
Mm.
yourself and unto others, and and do your practice, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Um, all right, and going back to mentors, I know I derailed myself there a little bit, but going back to the question I was going to ask you about the mentors in the or the ascended master mentors in the Sophia Code is, how have they assisted you, or which one do you feel the most connection to, or like, what is it that you feel, yeah, most, that you've learned the most?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I kind of want to go back on that derailing part
Yeah, sure,
that you
yes.
did, because I think you explained that so beautifully,
Mm.
and something that was coming up for me that I felt called to share was what I have learned because of reading the Sophia Code was I too didn't connect myself to any religion, because
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe these are my beliefs. These are my beliefs. But even the yogic lifestyle, which is definitely the style I went through, I called it spirituality. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
spiritual, right? Which
Right.
is yoga. But to do right to myself and to others is what we
Mm-hmm.
hear in religious texts, and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And so what I already, before the Sophia Code, what I already knew was that religion is has a place,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it's not the end all be all,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a guide for us to learn how to get on a certain path. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, we have to do the work,
Mm-hmm.
and where the lines kind of get crossed to me with religion is when separation starts to happen, because
Mm-hmm.
that's not that's not God, that's not Sophia, that's not universe, that's not spirit. we're
Right.
we're connected oneness.
Right.
You're the mirror of me, I'm the mirror of you.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I found myself with religion. So going back to the Sophia Code, I wouldn't pray. I was like, I meditate, but I don't pray.
Right. Same.
But once I found the Sophia Code, I started praying again,
Mm.
because I started to realize even deeper
Mm-hmm.
this idea of God, Sophia, spirit, universe, whatever words we want to use, right? There's
Right.
so many different ones. You can choose, I can choose. And I was like, oh, I do want to pray into that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I feel like the Sophia Code helped me come back to,
Mm-hmm.
is that, and I can now derail too of the deeper idea of God, right? Because
Yeah.
I've had a download recently, but if we have time for that, I
Yes,
can.
please go ahead.
Well, what I've realized, the download I received and things I've read, but now I'm understanding it more, the Sophia Code and other just texts I've read, is that like this still doesn't even, like, this is beautiful and this is unique and it has like things in here that will definitely expand and awaken and enlighten,
Mm-hmm.
but it still doesn't even scratch the surface
Mm.
of how beautiful the idea of God is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, books like this, or in Hindu, the different gods, right? You have
Mm-hmm.
Ganesh and Shiva and things. These are things that are just brought to us because our human mind cannot connect to how beautiful the real essence of God is. We have to put it in words, we have to put it in a statue, we have to put it,
Mm.
in some context for
Mm.
us to get an idea, because it's so unbelievable that we need something to hold on to believe. We need something tangible.
Because we're in this material world.
Yes, exactly. So we're limited
Mm-hmm.
to really the essence of what it is.
Yeah.
But this book definitely gives you a deeper dive into that essence that I don't feel like religions or things like that do.
Mm-hmm.
This really gives you that, like, oh, okay, like it's even more just, and I can't put words to it because that's the point, right? It's so more beautiful than that, we just have to go through the journey and experience it.
Yeah. It is really an embodied experience, and that's why I brought the concept of the mystery school too, because the teachings that I learned going through the mystery school were really experiences that I could have never had anywhere else. So it's a true, true mystery school. So I did my work that was so genuine and so authentic. And many times, I also never had an altar before. I also lost my connection to prayer. So when I really started to work with the Sophia Code, it was starting from scratch, like building altars, learning how to pray again, learning to trust that I had an angelic team was always there.
Yeah.
I was just so disconnected from them. Learning to trust myself, learning to trust my heart, learning to trust the signs, the synchronicities, like the feathers that I would, see on the road, or just symbols that would come up, and then that's when I started to like really trust, because there were all these signs that would show me that I was on the right path. And so that's what it's like to mentor, and going back to the mentoring aspect, that's what it's like to mentor with your angelic team. It can even be your own higher self. Like it doesn't have to be an ascended master. We just use them because their stories are very, very human journeys that we connect to heart to heart, soul to soul, because we have experienced the same feelings, the same emotions that they did. The only thing is that they've graduated from being human and now they're in this light body, and they dedicated their entire eternity to be able to assist us now to go on this journey ourselves. And they were appointed by source, by Sophia, by God, to be the Sophia Dragon Tribe. And so going back to the part of prayer, one of the ascended masters that you mentioned here from the beginning was White Buffalo Woman, right? And I've never heard about White Buffalo Woman either, but she really explains the power of prayer. And what prayer really means is just to speak your words into manifest them into manifestation, right? So like just speaking your words as, and then just like feeling them as if they are being manifested. That's what prayer is. Like so like if you're spiritual and you just say, oh, I just want to manifest something, then what you're doing as you're saying what you want to manifest, you're praying. You're essentially praying. That's a prayer. Sometimes we don't even call it a prayer, and that's okay. You don't have to attach to this words. We just put words and meanings to understand it, right? But it's not the end all be all. Like you said about even these ascended masters, there are countless other angelic teams and ascended masters and civilizations of light that are here assisting humanity in its evolution. So it doesn't even have to be even just this masters. They've just been the ones that I connected to the most because
Right, yeah.
maybe I have journeyed with them in the past or in another lifetime. So it's just my joy and my honor because as a child, I always had this questions in my mind, and when I first read this book, I just like got chills all over my body, and it was just like wow, like I finally found what I've been looking for my entire life, and that's why I've just wanted to know more and more and more, and the signs showed up and just everything lined up, and here I am. And
Yes.
so it's just felt effortless. It's felt really good, and it's blessed me in ways that I beyond even my comprehension. I'm just so grateful for that and for my higher self, and feeling that feeling of sovereignty in full, feeling whole and feeling um, like I can be my most authentic self. Like that's a gift that I've given myself,
Yeah.
through meeting the Sophia Dragon Tribe and meeting God in this way. And so I really don't think it's no accident. It's not a coincidence. Like I signed up for this. I signed up for this lifetime. I signed up for
Yeah.
the journey of going through what I'm going through, as
Yeah.
we all did, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
I could derail on that, but we'll leave it there. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When I was reading the book, the word sovereignty comes up,
Mm-hmm.
in this book so much. And I was, I'll be honest, like I was confused. I didn't know what that meant. So could you share, for those that don't know what that means, like what does that word mean and why is it so important in the Sophia Code?
I love that you asked that. Yeah, sovereignty is, I love that word, and yet it's a scary word too. Because I know that a lot of people would rather stay in victim mindset and have someone else take care of them than them taking responsibility. And I can, relate because I guess at one point in my past, I've been like that too.
Sure.
Because this world is hard and this earth, we're learning, we're like really growing up. I think I've heard this somewhere too, that if you were to put an age to humanity, we're like a toddler. Like the consciousness of humanity, like we just want to be taken care of. We just want someone to like spoon fed us, and there's just so much that we're still addicted to, and so much that we don't want to take responsibility of because it's easy. But once you become sober to who you truly are and what you came here to do, and get really real about what your mission in your life is, then that's your path. That's when you start your path to sovereignty, because you're taking radical responsibility about your life, about who you signed up to be in this lifetime, what your mission is, what your legacy is. And
I got chills.
at the end of this lifetime,
yes,
when you meet God, it's you and God, no one else, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who anyone else thought or said or anything. It's just you and God. And so that to me is like wow, like like yes, I know since I was a child again that I signed up to serve God, and that's why I'm here, to be of service to God. Why? Because nothing brings me more joy and more passion and more ecstasy and more bliss than to being in that state of oneness with source. And again, you can never experience that unless you truly commit to the journey.
Yeah.
In meeting God again and again. And you can meet God anywhere. You can meet God in prayer. You can meet God in nature. You can meet God in making love, tasting your food, having a wonderful experience at an EDC event, whatever, like the most mundane thing that you can think of, you can meet God there, and that's your own experience with God. And that's what I never understood before. I thought that I shamed myself and guilted myself for doing certain things that I quote unquote thought they were wrong. And there's nothing wrong to God. It's just your experience of what it is that you want to create, because anything can be beautiful as long as you choose to see it that way. And I just thought about Viktor Frankl too, of his journey of man's search for meaning, which I don't know if you've ever read his book.
I've heard of him, but I haven't read his book.
Yeah.
What book is it?
Man's Search for Meaning,
Oh.
which was really
That's
powerful.
a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a survivor of the Holocaust. And even in that place of darkness, he found beauty. So, you know, you can find God really, you know, as long as you have that connection to the divine within you. That's, you know, that's sovereignty right there. You can be a slave, but if you are free in your consciousness with God, you know, your conditions might be what they are, but your direct connection to God, that is untouchable, that's unchangeable, and that's what true sovereignty means, to be free to choose who you want to be, regardless of the circumstances.
Yeah.
And so when we choose to stay in victimhood and, you know, not take responsibility and have someone else change our diapers, and that's not sovereignty. That's something else.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much. This has been great. I think I feel ready to close our our meeting today. This has been so wonderful. I just want to close us with a final question for you, if you don't mind. How would you suggest others that are like very new to the Sophia Code? How can they start their journey, or like what would you suggest with them?
Yeah, you know, for me it was, and for both of us, it seemed like we just had that little voice come in, you know, with the idea of the book. And I know that you offer the Sophia Circle, so if you want to dive deeper and having someone lead you through the book, Veronica can do that, or you can just take the book and read it on your own. It really depends, on where that person is at. I actually found the book before I found Veronica. So, but everything's divine timing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I wasn't even expecting you to say that.
Yeah. So it really is up to you, the viewer, of how you want to introduce yourself to the Sophia Code. There's different ways of doing that. There's no right or wrong way to do that. And so, yeah, even if it's just read an article about it, right? A blog, something like that, or just go right in and have someone like Veronica lead you through that. Yeah, I don't think there's a right or wrong. It's just like, listening to your heart if you're ready to just take this on, and even in our conversation, if I can share, like, it helped me actually to realize more of like what I've received, from it. I'm like, oh wow, I really have received even more than I thought I received. You asked earlier who I feel like I've been closest with right now, and it's been Kuan Yin. She just keeps continuously pop up, but I think they all show up in different ways at different moments. And the biggest thing, is just deeper connection with source. And knowing that, like, oh yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my spirit family is so much bigger than I thought, and that I can call upon any of them at any time to be with me and guide me. And that's been so beautiful, like going deeper with that.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being with us today, and I'm just so grateful that you are a carrier of these teachings too, because the real prayer for me is just to help humanity awaken. And just knowing that you carry these codes within you, I know that you are automatically, when you come in contact with others, being that bridge to them for their own awakening. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Veronica.
I love you so much.
Love you, my friend.
Super cool. And I just invite you, if you want to learn more about me and about my upcoming Sophia Circle Journeys, you can always go to my website, empoweredbydivinity.com. Click under events, and there you'll find a page where you can submit your application for the next Sophia Circle Journey. We're going to have a live journey, but there are online journeys coming as well. So regardless, just fill the application, let me know you're interested, or just message me, get in contact with me through my social media, or just sending me an email. I'll be happy to respond. And I'm just so, so, so grateful that you were here today. And please share this video if you think it's helpful for someone else. And I will see you on the next video. Namaste.